Hello and welcome to another episode of Bangers and Mosh, the podcast that wants you to show us your muscles. I'm Jimmy.
I'm Daz.
I'm Deffa.
But wait a minute. Who's this fourth handsome face we've got on the screen here? Ah, look, if it isn't metal YouTube royalty, the vinyl collector king, Spine Farm guru, Mr. Tristan Pratt, aka the Metal Trist. How are you, buddy?
I'm very good, mate. What an introduction! I've got to step my game up whenever I do any interviews, and that was amazing. It's so nice to see you guys and be back on the show.
Yeah, man, you were one of our first ever guests. That nearly must have been 4 years ago, I would say.
Wow. Shit,
time
really
flies,
4 years
doesn't
ago?
it?
Yeah,
Wow.
It was, man. I think you were just taking your first steps into the metal world then, weren't you, with working in for Noise Cartel, I think, at the time.
Oh,
So
yeah. When I was doing like the PR sort of stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, man. Fuck. Time flies when you're having fun, though, right? I mean,
Oh,
you guys,
dude.
you've like made an amazing podcast, amazing impact. Like, basically rule metal Twitter. I'll be honest.
That's all Daz, that is.
Yeah,
He loves it, mate. He loves getting involved.
I love it.
Oh, but it's lovely to have you back, mate. And when we were coming up with this episode's been a while in the making, but there was only one man we were referring to when it came to this, because today we're taking a dive into the 10 studio records of, I would say collectively, one of our absolute favourite bands between the four of us.
hands down.
The
Easy.
Black Dahlia Murder. And I'll say picking a favourite song from each. Attempting is more a better way to put it, I would say, because this was like one of the most difficult things I've ever done.
Yeah, it's a rough one, wasn't it?
Yeah, so we're going to get to this because, Trist, you were saying that you've probably got 2 or 3, haven't you, per record?
At least, literally.
Yeah.
I'm looking at my little list at the minute, and it's like, oh shit, I've got like 6. So I'm just
Might
gonna
as well say the album, innit?
yeah, exactly. yeah, all songs. But I think I'm just gonna try and sort of, I don't know, go with my gut and see how I feel in the moment. You know what I mean?
I think that's the way. Like, we've done these before, man, and like I like Deffa's way of doing it is something that stuck with me. He's like, if I had to listen to just one song now, which one is it? And that's the way he sort of approaches this, which I think is a good way of doing it.
Yeah.
So formed in 2001 in Michigan and signed to Metal Blade off the back of just one demo, 2002's A Cold-Blooded Epitaph, the Black Dahlia Murder have cemented themselves as one of the all-time elite tier death metal bands. I think that's not just melodic death metal. Show us your muscles, Trist. In death metal, full stop, they're just one of the best, most consistent. We'll get into the records, but I don't think they've ever I don't think there's ever been a misstep in their career, quite frankly.
Agreed.
I'd agree.
So big question, lads, is should we hit the bong before we do this?
Yeah, obviously. It's the law.
Yes.
I can't. I've got the clip of that. You'll have heard it at the start. It's fucking brilliant when I worked out how to do that. So all these albums are on Metal Blade, as we mentioned. So June 2003, then they dropped their debut album, Unhallowed. Obviously the most raw, the Black Dahlia Murder record, but the musical chops, I think, were there from the start, I would say.
Yeah, definitely.
You can hear that. I know they got tagged, didn't they? Like, if you go back, they got tagged into like the deathcore world, didn't they? But
Well, they were. I remember this and My Asthma being touted as like metalcore records. It was insane because that's why I got them. I picked these up when they came out.
is that because you were that was
Right.
your thing at that time, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I got Unhallowed and was just like fucking out. Like, don't sound like metalcore to me.
I was going to say, like, I would say maybe the guitar tones have a little bit of Darkest Hour in them, but I would say that's about as much metalcore as you'll find on this record. Like, you can hear the At the Gates and In Flames influence
Oh, special.
Yeah, oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh God,
Yeah.
mate. Yeah.
all over the record. Trish, you're the guest then, mate. I'm going to put you on the spot then, man. What have you gone for with this?
Oh
Have you
God.
what did you when did you get into the Black Dahlia Murder quickly, mate, before we do this? Before we
To be honest, that was going to be a caveat about it.
Oh, okay.
So I do because I do this thing like whenever I'm into a band, I'll just go like really hard into them and just go through the entire discography and sort of things like that. So like this wasn't when I sort of fell in love with them. Nocturnal was when our relationship began. But yeah, Unhallowed. I don't know. I find this one, and this is probably going to be sacrilege among a lot of people, but this is probably my least favorite record, just because I'm a real stickler for like production and stuff like that, and it sounds raw. It was recorded in 2003, like, but I would say it's got to be Funeral Thirst. It's a classic for a reason.
Oh,
I'll
jump
dive in with you
as
then,
well.
mate. Because
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
mine as
I'll
well.
dive in with you as
Oh, it's
well,
fucking
mate.
all across the
Oh,
board.
4
then.
for 4. Oh, okay.
Nice.
Well, that was pretty easy.
Yeah.
Right,
what-
job done.
Yeah,
go.
we'll go on to the next one. So what is it about this track then? I mean, it's still in the set list now for a good reason, isn't it? Like,
It's got everything you want, mate. It's got that at the gate worship. It's got that chorus
yeah,
where it turns into at the gates. It sounds nothing like Black Dahlia Murder I've done before. It's a fucking standout. It's so catchy, and it's just an amazing track. And to come second on the album, I mean, that's a fucking statement, man.
yeah, it really does. Like it's not my favorite either. I'd agree with you, Tris. This would be my least. It's not to say I don't like the record at all. I really like it, but it would definitely be bottom of the pile for me. But yeah, this track is a real standout. And I was having a look at their last. I don't think this has ever left the set list, has it? As far as I.
I don't
Was this
think
the first song that they ever released, like as a single?
Ooh,
It
I'm
might
not
be,
sure,
I don't
mate.
know.
I remember this being like the first song I ever heard, and I'm fairly sure they did a single for this. It must have been like the first single they ever like kind of dropped
Early on, yeah.
with a video and that.
Oh yeah, it
Yes,
might
it was.
Must have been.
wasn't it on the EP as well, and then they re-recorded it. I can't remember. They re-recorded a couple of tracks off of the
But yeah, this is for all four of us to go for this one. I mean, like we said, there's a reason this was their last tour. There's 2 tracks off Unhallowed, and this was one of them, and the title track as well. And there's obviously a reason that it's still in the set list to this day. It's still a great song. So I've got up here as well. Trevor did a Black Dahlia Murder albums ranking for Kerrang in 2019, and Unhallowed was his number 1.
Wow.
Yeah, mate. So it's like, and he said on here, I don't think I realised I was going to put this here until I was challenged to do this list. There's a lot of shit on here that makes me cringe, but I think it's just that, I guess for the band, getting signed to Metal Blade, putting a debut out is like a dream, isn't it, for a lot of bands? So I guess
I think it's because it sounds so different to the rest of the discography. Like you said, it's released. They didn't really go back and play material like this again. It's a standout album in that sense, even though it might be the bottom of our piles. But I like it for the way it is because it's Black Dahlia Murder in a different light.
Yeah. He said it's raw, it's real, it's a bunch of kids, and I feel like it's a Polaroid of us at that time. So I guess, that's a perfect summary of that. But 4 for 4 then, Funeral Thirst. Like, good start, lads.
That's it.
So July 2005 then, Miasma comes out, and I think we were saying just before we hit record, like, I think you can already hear the evolution of the band from Unhallowed. Like, there's tighter performances, more dynamic songwriting, production's better. I think Trevor's trademark vocal style really started here as well on this record. So what have you gone with on this one, Trist?
I've gone with the beginning of the amazing title tracks at the end of the record. Miasma is, I think, one of my favorite Black Dahlia Murder tracks ever.
Oh wow.
I really, really love that song. And I think it's kind of, again, Miasma as a record is just kind of like, the sort of natural evolution, I think, after Unhallowed.
Yeah.
And just, it feels like it's moving more towards kind of like the worlds of Nocturnal, which is probably why I prefer it a little bit more than
Yeah.
Unhallowed. But yeah, I don't know. It was a toss up between Flies, Miscarriage, Statutory Ape, and Miasma. So
Take your pick. Mate, I going back and listening to this again, Flies is such a great track, isn't it?
Sick track.
Flies is
Sick
brilliant,
track.
man. That's like proper, like
Yeah.
that sort of signature Black Dahlia Murder, but also still sounding a bit rough around the edges. But I think the reason I like Miasma is because it's kind of like, okay, this is where the band are starting to go with that sort of bigger sort of sound. And yeah, I mentioned it wrong actually. It's not like the self-titled, but like the final track, which is like
Yes.
Yeah.
an end all. There's a little clue to some of the things that are coming up there. But
Yeah, this is like a bridge, isn't it, between Unhallowed and Nocturnal?
yeah,
It's like
for me, it's like their spiritual healing. You know what I mean? Like
yes.
that
Yeah,
sort of
great point.
bridge between.
Yeah, definitely. So Flies was so great, man. There's a great little guitar bit in there where there's a totally different tone.
Yeah.
Just that little bit, but this one, this it's going to be interesting or it's going to be disgusting. It's your call. But I've gone with a Vulgar Picture. So
Shortlist. It was in the shortlist.
have you got this as well, Daz?
No, I've got my. I actually went with Miasma as well.
Oh, okay.
For all the same reasons Tris picked. But there's so many good songs on here anyway, isn't there? Vulgar Picture, Dave Goes to Hollywood.
Yeah.
That's a great track.
Yeah, Vulgar Picture, mate. I think what does it for me is obviously a massive Maiden fan. It's got like a bit of a unmistakable Maiden-esque gallop
Yes.
to it that I love.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Some really fucking great little melodic mellow death riffs. There's a killer solo in here as well with we all love a cheeky dive bomb, and it's got one in there, and then there's a riff, that stomping riff that kicks in around 2:28. It's such a neck snapper, and I fucking love when bands just drop in a nice chunky riff into especially in mellow death where a lot of those riffs are single note riffs, and
Yeah.
when they just drop in a nice
They do it so well. They
Yeah.
do it so well as well.
so well, mate. What have you gone with, Dev?
I went with Miscarriage.
Oh,
Nice.
yeah.
It's a fucking tune, man. It's just that. It's just the whole riff, the way it develops, the patterns, everything about that track, man, is just. But yeah, I mean, yeah, a great album as well. So good listening back to this.
Yeah, it's been really nice revisiting these first two albums because if I'm listening to the Black Dahlia, I don't often go
Go back to
anything
these two.
pre-Nocturnal. So
No.
Interestingly, this was Trevor's least favourite Black Dahlia Murder record.
Well, I know they had a bit of a rough time with the artwork, didn't they? Because they were trying to sort of portray, was it like someone just being like really fucked up?
Yeah,
in the city, and they kind of just ended up with a picture of the city.
Yeah, he's like, I had this vision of having the artwork done by Aaron Turner of ISIS, and it was like he wanted to have like a picture of Las Vegas Strip through the eyes of someone who's like really drunk and drugged out, and it just looks like a postcard.
They went Deftones.
Yeah.
They went Deftones instead.
It does just look like a postcard, doesn't it? It's so
Yeah.
When I was first getting into them and I saw that, I thought this was some sort of like, like collection of demos or something. Because I was like,
album.
Yeah.
I was like, that artwork's so weird. Like, it must be just a collection of. I didn't realise it was a studio album to start with, but yeah, it's been really nice revisiting them, like I said, and I'm definitely going to be playing Miasma a lot more. I think I really, really like that album after sort of revisiting it. So September 2007, then I think this is where the Black Dahlia Murder really nailed that signature sound. So Nocturnal comes out. This is where you get into them, Trish, you said, yeah? This is where you discover.
Yeah, so basically, I had a friend of mine. He was like 2 years older than me, I think, at school, well, like high school, and he was into Between the Buried and Me, Tony Danza, Tap Dance Extravaganza, Black Dahlia Murder, Red Chord, like literally was just like
sick.
here, little child, take this, you know.
Your world will never be the same.
Yeah, literally, and it wasn't. And like, you know, A Job for a Cowboy was another one. And I just remember hearing what a horrible night to have a curse, being like, what the fuck is this? This is like the most evil, heavy, like truly dark kind of music that I've ever listened to.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I'm sold.
Had,
Straight
had,
away.
had you already were you already into sort of like heavier music by this point?
It was kind of like Killswitch Engage, that kind of vibe.
Right, okay.
You know, like Taste
Yeah.
of Chaos, Atreyu, kind of, you know, like All That Remains as well, because I remember that being a bit of a thing, because Shannon used to be the drummer in All That Remains
Yes.
on The Fall of Ideals, and then joined Black Dahlia and all that sort of stuff. And I really, really loved the drumming on The Fall of Ideals. I still think it's one of the best metalcore albums ever. But
Yeah,
Oh,
it
yeah.
is.
it's so like there is not one. I have to credit Guitar Hero, I think 2 or 1 that had like 6 as like a bonus track or something, and I was like, wow,
Yeah,
this is mental. But yeah, that's a long-winded way of saying this is when I first sort of met the Black Dahlia Murder, and yeah, it's just amazing. And I think, you know, talking about the artwork side of things again, you know, it's not a picture, it's not a blue and black sort of weird photoshopped cover.
Yeah.
This is like the first time where I think they started really building that world of the Black Dahlia Murder.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I think is it Necrolord that did this one? I can't remember.
It's yeah, I think it is, mate. It's that trademark Necro Lord style, isn't it?
Yeah. But yeah,
it's an iconic piece of artwork.
yeah, absolutely. And
You
I
know?
think it speaks to the you know, the love of fantasy and horror and all that sort of stuff, all the sort of Venn diagram of like everything that makes not even just Black Dahlia Murder, but like death metal, basically.
Yeah, absolutely, mate.
And everyone knows, you know, blue covers, mate.
Yeah, supremacy.
Yeah, the blue cover
Blue covers.
supremacy.
So I did Trish, this would have been the impossible question, mate. But what was the track you've gone with off this one?
What a horrible night to have a curse.
Oh, is it?
Nice.
Yeah,
So-
I remember like learning that on guitar, and it was the first time that I'd like properly attempted like any death metal or anything like that. I was about like, I don't know, 18, 19 or something. And being able to like nail that song, it's just made it like a real favorite for me. And it's so fucking hard as well. Like it's so kind of like
mate.
neoclassical shit as well. Which
Yeah,
is,
yeah.
But it made me kind of have even more appreciation for like just the level of technicality of the Black Dahlia Murder and like the melody and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, like
Yeah.
Oh, so good. We said this before, Tris, but I think Brian is maybe the most underrated musician in metal. Full stop. Like, whenever you get them best guitarist conversations and things like, his name never comes up, does it? Like, and I just for songwriting technical ability, I think he is like
Yeah.
elite tier level musician, man.
Yeah, I think, you know, in terms of like as a rhythm guitarist and writing the songs, he's absolutely brilliant, you know.
Yeah.
And but this is what's so cool about Black Dahlia is like it just kind of kept on evolving with each sort of piece kind of adding something new to their sound. Like,
Yeah.
is it John that's on this record? John
Yes.
Campanian?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
His you know, I've got to say, like, they're not as technical as some of the later stuff, but the melodies, you can literally like hum them throughout the whole album, and it's made like, you know, it's really made it stick in my head. But yeah, I remember one time I went to see I think it was Dying Fetus, and the like house PA or whatever it was just played Nocturnal whilst everyone
sick.
waiting for them to come on, and I was like, fucking yes.
Oh, mate, that's quality. Like, it is such a at this stage. So I think it's a death metal classic, man. Like,
Yeah.
it's just one of the best ever. Daz, what track have you gone with, mate?
It's so hard, mate. I don't know. I still don't really know. The opener, Everything Went Black, is just so fucking wicked, in it, with the crickets chirping and then everything comes crashing in, and he's, where did it come from? How can it be stopped?
Oh, mate.
Oh my god, dude. Oh, and then the song Nocturnal has an audio clip of the 1987 film The Monster Squad, which was like one of my favourite films when I was like a kid.
Oh yeah,
And
you
then-
told me about that film recently. I watched
Yeah.
that recently, mate. It's
Mummy
classic.
stayed at my house.
Classic.
Nard, was he? Kick him in the nards.
Yeah, that's it.
And then I reckon it's probably I'll have to take Death Mask Divine, just
Okay.
because it's an absolute belter. But every song on this album's a masterpiece. This is my favourite Black Dahlia album.
So gun to head ranking wise, this is number one.
Yeah, for me, yeah, for sure.
Is it
So, yeah.
because is it got that nostalgia factor for you as well? Because
Yeah, I
you'd
think
obviously
so.
knew about them by this point.
Yeah, definitely. And this was just like such a monumental album. Like every song on here, front to back, is a masterpiece. It's just fucking incredible. What a credible album.
Yeah, man. I've gone with Everything When Black Does. It's
Nice, yeah.
It would be a desert island disco song. This for me.
Oh, mate, it's so good.
I love this song, man. It's that chorus is one of the catchiest choruses. Like not just in death metal, just in metal. Full stop. And we talk all the time about little bits in music that just get you. Trist, you'll know as a guitarist, you know the riff underneath the chorus. There's a little guitar slide. It goes like, and every time, mate, I'm like, oh god! It's that little guitar slide just gets me every time. And I love the fact that this song was lyrically inspired by DuckTales as well. Like,
I didn't know that. That's amazing.
oh, didn't you? So
DuckTales. Holy shit, that's cool.
there's an episode of DuckTales, right, where they have this golden goose, and Trevor said everything they touch turns to gold, and it ends up with Scrooge, and eventually everything in the world turns to gold. So he took it and then made the gold black, so that everything in the world just became this massive void. And
wow.
So that where did it come from? How can it be stopped? Is about this just massive void that's like, it's such a fucking cool song, and it's just like a example of his lyrical genius as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Painted this story, but what you gone with, Death?
Same pick as Trist. What a horrible night to have a curse. I mean, the technicality of that track is incredible, but the lyrics,
Yeah.
he does not stop singing, and it must be a record for the amount of fucking words on a track. But it's a track that you can't not take your eyes off. It's not the right expression, but it's like he's talking to you, and you're so focused on what he's saying, even though half of it you probably don't understand because it's in that screechy tone. But it's just on and on and on and on and on. You think, fucking hell, it just keeps going.
Relentless barrage.
It is.
mate.
You're literally in a curse. He's put you in a curse.
It feels
Because
like
it's
it's
just-
just fall off, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's incredible. That songwriting ability, the step up, is already noticeable on those first couple of tracks from the first two albums. It's incredible tune, incredible.
It's that's from Zelda, isn't it?
Is
What a
it
horrible night to have a
Castlevania?
curse. It comes up in the
Yes, I think it is.
in
I
their
think it is
titles in
Zelda.
the right- yeah.
yeah.
I was going to say, I just wanted to have an honourable mention to Warborn, because I think that's one of the fucking
Yeah, it's a
best
great
songs they've
track.
ever written.
Yeah.
That is.
It's hard as nails, that track. Isn't it?
It is.
And it's such a simple riff, isn't it? But it just gets fucking heavier and heavier and heavier. And that weird like squelching that he does with his vocals, like when it first starts, it's like
Yes.
Mate, there were so many moments where you go through their discography where he drops little different vocal styles in, and you're like,
It's a great ending track as well. Great closing track.
Yeah.
they did that better than most bands, man. Opening and closing an
I
album.
was just about to say that. They're the kings of it, mate. If you're stuck on picking a track, go with either the opening or the closer, because it's a fucking world. Mate. You can't go wrong.
You really can't go wrong, man. Yeah, Nocturnal, what an absolute world beater of a record. So September 2009 then, Deflorate comes out. And this was a bit of a... I think the band sort of credited this, well, Trevor did especially, as a bit of a misstep. But I really like this record.
Me too.
I do.
Me too. I love this album.
He said this was a case of us coming off a really successful album in Nocturnal and having to follow it up and he said overall, I think we were getting too technical for our own good, and we didn't realise that we weren't giving the listeners any dynamics. It was just a constant barrage, and it definitely is more full on. I think this record than Nocturnal, but I still really like it, man. This was 7th out of the 8 albums they'd released at that time in his rankings, so this was second bottom. I really love the album cover to this record.
Yeah.
Yes, it's
Great
sick.
album cover, isn't it?
He wanted, there was, which album was it? I think he wanted this to look like Power Slave, like a death metal Power Slave.
Oh God.
And you can sort of see it, can't you? With like
Similarities, yeah.
the throne and everything. What do you make of this album, Trish? Do you like this album?
I really like this album.
Yeah.
I think, because it's the first record with Ryan Knight coming in.
Yeah.
I think that, like, in terms of lead guitar work, it's one of the. I think I totally agree with what Trevor said in terms of like the technicality. There is some of it where you're kind of like, wow, this is a bit much. Like, but they do have a good balance of, the memorability of like Necropolis and stuff like that. Like, but yeah, I personally I do really like this record. I don't think it kind of hits as hard as like Nocturnal or some of the others, but there are some really, really, really good moments, and it's got one of my favorite Black Dahlia solos ever on it. So, yeah.
Which one's that?
Throne of Lunacy.
Oh, great song.
Oh, I'll have to go back and really like pay attention to that.
Oh, man, it's so good. It's like this diminished thing that he does, and it's just unreal. Like, and because it's about like the without sounding too sort of like knobby, like the journey of the solo. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I think Ryan's always been really good at, and Brandon, to be fair, is like they kind of tell a story with the melodies, and then it kind of builds it up, and then it kind of goes on this big crescendo, and ends on like a or something like that.
Oh yeah, man! It's like that Bob Rock when he's talking in the making. You take them here, and then you take them to this other place, and then you like at the end. Like, that's what they. I mean, you really couldn't have had 3 better lead guitarists in this band. Like the musicianship was just fucking incredible. What track have you gone with, mate?
I'm gonna go with Mr. Predictable. I Will Return.
Same.
It's amazing. It's just, like, I think it's such a cool kind of like a bit of a calling card as well. And like, when they used to play it as the last track as well, it was kind of like, yeah, we've like completely destroyed your city, but we'll be back to do it again in like a year's time or something.
That's so sick, isn't it?
Yeah. It's just like, I just think it's a brilliant, like the melody's really great. It, it's like made to perform live, with like the hey.
Yeah.
Like, it reminds me of like all those times at the Underworld, basically. But yeah. What about you, Daz? Why is it yours?
Well, that's exactly the same reasons. The chanting, like everything, like it's just such a well-structured song, and another absolute worldie for an album closer. They just can't miss at this point.
They don't miss, mate, with the
closures. And the opener, Black Valor, is superb as well. Woo! Yeah,
you're calling.
Yeah. That's it, innit? Opening tracks, closing tracks.
That's it, mate.
The kings of it.
I think Black Valor, you know it instantly what you're getting with this record.
Yeah.
Like, there's no like slow, creepy intro, or it's just.
That's why I love it. It's literally to the throat.
Yeah. Is that your pick now?
Oh, mate, yeah. What a track to open the fucking album, mate. It's just relentless. So many different patterns to it. It's fucking incredible, man.
Do you know what's interesting? Trevor said that the opening song is cool, but it's not really set up as an opening song with a big intro. It just sort of starts. Like, and it's so true. Like, I think that's, of all their albums, that's the one that just kicks off.
In, yeah. Bang. Yeah.
Instantly. I've gone with Necropolis. You mentioned earlier, Trist. Like, nice. I love this song. It's really hooky. It's really catchy. It's got a really like simple, hypnotizing riff.
Well,
yeah, and it's one of the times in the record where I feel like they just simplify the riff, and it's a lot more impactful, and the lyrics are great as well. It's like a song about religion, but it isn't like a cheesy, like, Nurgle, God's a load of shit. Like, do you know what I mean? It's a really, like, intelligently written song about a subject which has been tackled like 40 million times, but Trevor just does it differently and makes you think. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I really like Deflorate. And I've seen there's always this conversation, isn't it? You're in the Blast Fiends group, Trist, aren't you? And
Yeah.
the ranking conversations, they take place all the time, don't they? And it's so mad to see how many wildly different takes that people have. So Deflorate is either some people's favourite or some people's least favourite. It seems to be quite a, like, polarising record.
Yeah, I think it's I don't know. I'm trying to think even just like where it sits with me. I think it's kind of in the middle. At first, I was like, "Wow, this is amazing," but they wrote the Ritual, Everblack, Nightbringers.
There
Like,
you go. We're 10
Necropolis
albums
was
in.
on Saints Row the Third as well in 2011.
really?
Oh,
Yeah.
was it?
Yeah, just going around like Saints Row, mate, listening to Necropolis by Black Dahlia Murder and just blasting some fools, mate. The best time to be alive.
Yeah,
The
quality,
dream.
mate.
The dream.
Yeah, I'd say this sits around 7th or 8th for me, somewhere down in that, like, lower echelon, but
Yeah.
it's when your echelons are this good, then so June 2011, then, if Deflorate was polarizing, this album certainly is not polarizing. This is, I think, widely regarded as like an absolute masterpiece at this point. Ritual came out. This is your favorite Def, isn't it?
Oh, mate, yeah. It's just everything about it, front to back, is just quality. And I think, you mentioned about Ryan Knight. I think this is where he stamps his authority on the band. It's like, I'm here, I've returned with the rest of the guys. Boom, here we go. And some of the best tracks on here. There's one in particular for me, which I'll get to, but there's a number of tracks on here that are fucking stand out on any of their discography, mate. It's just, a wonderful album.
I feel like they captured the conceptually, like, this is maybe their most focused album. Like, it's the one where the artwork, like the videos, how they looked in the videos,
it's all entwined. It's all
everything was so super tight on this record, man. Where would this sit for you, Tristan?
Well, I've got a bit of a soft spot for this record because it came out when I was going through a really, really hard time. And again, it just kind of like speaks to kind of how much I love the Black Dahlia Murder and how much it's kind of been with me throughout sort of, different. And that's the great thing about the albums, isn't it? You can kind of go back to them, but they might mean something at one point and then it changes. But yeah, around this time, I was just going through like a really, really bad time. And I just remember I got really, really drunk once and I was living in Camden and I was just like screaming out the fucking lyrics to Moonlight Equilibrium. It was absolutely amazing. I think I totally agree in that this is like the most cohesive record that they've put together.
Yeah.
In 2011 or whenever it came out. And I think it's probably close. It's probably in my top 4, I would say, for Ritual. Maybe, actually, no, it's probably in my top 3, to be honest.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, same.
It's just, green album cover supremacy. But yeah, I just think they really kind of nailed the sort of like occult, creepy kind of feel. Like
the cover was really regal as well. I think like it was a regal, like majestic looking cover with some cult symbols and stuff on it. Yeah, it was quite different from the previous albums.
Well, I think after sort of Trevor said that the artwork on Deflorate came out way too messy. And he was like, it wasn't really what he envisaged. And like, I feel like here, he sort of said, Deflorate wasn't received how we wanted it to be, so we wanted to come back hard And it
Oh,
was
this is
the first
clean,
time
isn't it?
they sat down and had conversations of like, right, what is it we want to achieve with each of the, the artwork, the production, and right, what is it we want to achieve? And fucking hell, this this is what came out like unbelievable.
Mm.
Dev, when I didn't ask you, I've never asked you. When did you get into the Black Dahlia Murder, mate? On what record?
It was this record, but it
Yeah, I think
wasn't
it was for
obviously
me
when
too, mate.
it was. I don't think it was when it came out. I think probably Ever Black was already out, but then it was for some reason. I think it was this that I done. So I think another reason why it stands out.
Yeah, yeah,
As
yeah,
now. But yeah, it was around that sort of time, Ever Black era. But yeah,
yeah. Sick.
Fair enough.
So what track have you gone with, Trist?
Oh God, it's
Oh,
time.
I know, mate. I know. I'm sorry.
Um, I've gone with one which is like a personal sort of one, I think, which is Blood in the Ink.
Oh, nice.
oh,
Wicked.
nice track.
I absolutely love that track. I think it's isn't it like the ritual of what is it? I can't remember. It's like indoctrination or something like that, and it's basically like selling your soul to the devil and signing up and stuff like that. But I think for a long time I actually wanted to get it like tattooed as like a piece of parchment and then
Oh,
have like,
wicked.
blood like on the quill and stuff like that. I still might do it, but I don't know. But
Pretty good idea.
yeah, it's literally been like one of my favorites. I think it kind of it has like quite a memorable chorus as well, which I was quite surprised by. And then it's got like the strings that kind of start things off, and it just ends, like it's kind of weird actually. Like when you look through some of these songs and like obviously know everything that's happened, and like the last bit of that track is "Suicide is the only way out," and you're kind of like, how much of this was
Yeah,
really going throughout the entire time? Do you know what I mean? And it's
yeah, yeah,
kind of it acts as a bit of a vent, or like Receipt, for example. Like it's so I think with that sort of emotional thing as well, it's kind of doubly sort of important for me.
yeah. I hear you, man.
But as a runner-up, I'd like to put The Window forward because that's fucking
It's a fucking hard as nails track.
Yeah.
Some of the most gruesome lyrics ever.
disgusting,
It
isn't it?
is disgusting, mate.
mate.
I remember him saying like it was like that was the track. He was like, "Is this too far? Do you know what I mean? Have I gone too far?" And then it was like, "Nah, man, it's fucking death metal." Like,
But that's the great thing about his lyrics is that they've gone too far, but like it's eloquent, it's well put together. It's not just like I'm gonna dig you up and fuck you, like
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Corpse, kind of like early Cannibal Corpse and stuff. But like, I don't know. I just feel like, especially with lyrics, this album is just like
oh
top.
god, yeah, yeah, yeah. And these, that's a true story as well. So he's only retelling in his own way of something that a sickening thing that happened. So it's like, what have you gone with, Daz?
Well, Blood in the Ink and Carbonized and Cruciform, the runners up for me. But I've just gone with Moonlight Equilibrium, mate, because I just think it's just such a worldy. Like the chorus, the Ryan and Brian connection, mate. Just absolutely on fire. The lead work on the solos on Moonlight Equilibrium as well, like fucking amazing.
Yeah.
It's such a catchy song as well, man. Like,
It's the
just
breakdown, in it, that comes
Yeah.
halfway.
Oh.
It's just like, oh, hang on a minute.
Oh, perfect, mate. Perfect for me.
Is that yours as well, Dev?
Come on. It's my favourite Black Dahlia Murder track, full stop.
Yes.
Every
It's
time I
worldy.
hear it, I get goosebumps, man.
Yeah.
Just the chorus, the way he keeps screeching and screeching, the sound of the guitars, man, is just fucking hell, man. Honestly, you can't get better than that, mate, for me. I love The Window. Carbonized and Cruciform is great. The Raven, fucking great guitar work on that tune as well.
Den of the Picarist hasn't been mentioned yet either, and that's like a punk banger.
Yeah, that's
Oh, I
yeah.
know, mate. Like,
Yeah.
it's an incredible.
It's only like
record.
2 minutes long, last song as
Yeah,
well. Something crazy.
Yeah.
It's an
Man
incredible
Enchantments
record,
as
mate.
well. That's a fucking great song.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Um,
The whole album.
oh, no.
Yeah.
I love
Fucking-
that. I'm gonna have to check my CD because Mel Enchantments is spelt incorrectly apparently on the back of the CD versions that
Oh, is
went
it?
out.
Oh, I have to have a look.
Yeah, yeah. And Travis said Brian specifically wanted to strangle me for that. So I'm gonna need to go back and check my CD, mate. But you boys have mentioned my favourite track. I've gone with Carbonized and Cruciform.
Yeah, what a
Good
tune.
shout.
This was the first time it felt like they added like little pianos and acoustic touches and things like that in there, and it makes it feel so fresh. And little moments again. There's a riff underneath the chorus, underneath the solo. Sorry,
Yeah, sick.
It might just be one of my favourite all-time riffs ever. It's it goosebump moments, Steph. We say it, don't we?
Mate.
Like those little moments in music that just.
Mate, it sticks with you, mate.
Yeah. This was their highest charting record as well. Peaked at 31 in the US. So
Oh, wow.
Wow. Okay.
I think they really nailed everything on this record.
God, yes, mate.
Yeah.
God, yes.
What a
Yeah.
record Ritual is.
You know what I really love about carbonizing cruciform is it kind of gives you, it's almost like a 3-2-1 go, you know, because it's like and then it's like
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's perfect.
There's so many like changes of pace and transitions throughout that
Yes.
song that it's so good. But that riff underneath the solo, next time you listen to that song, just listen to that riff underneath the solo. It is fucking brilliant, man.
Yeah, so good.
So June 2013, then following up that record with Ever Black. This is such a killer record. I fucking adore this record. You've got an Ever Black tattoo, Trist, haven't you?
I do, well, yeah. It's basically it's the you know the hands that are on the cover.
Yes.
It's basically a gravestone, which is on that cover with a hand sort of like reaching out towards it with Trevor's name on the top.
sick.
Oh, that's sick, mate.
Pulled into the abyss.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I'll take a photo of it so I can I can show you guys. I'm not gonna like hop on the it's on the back of my leg. That probably I should have said that earlier on, but
Yeah, we don't want no accidents live on air, mate. Like, Tristan lost
it's for the last podcast.
So, where do you rate this album in amongst their sort of catalogue? This sort of sits, I would say, middle. I'd say middle for me.
I don't know, man. You're asking me all the difficult questions.
I know, mate. I know. This is why we got you on, man. The expert.
No, I wish. I would say. Oh, I don't know. Is it top 3? No, not quite. It's like top 4. I think.
Yeah, same.
I think it's. I think it's one of the most melodic ones that they've done.
Yeah, agree. Yeah.
I agree with that.
The one thing I don't like as much about in this album is there's a lot of that sort of like that sort of stuff where I kind of wanted the that sort of
Yeah, I hear you.
eternally ritual. But then, it again, they changed personnel, didn't they? Alan Cassidy joined.
Yeah.
I think it was Max that was on. Was he on this one, or did he?
Yeah, but I think Bart had gone by this point, hadn't he, as well?
But yeah, like it's. I think it's probably one of the. I don't know. Is it one of the most atmospheric? There's
It's
a lot.
definitely one of their darkest records, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good shout. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely one of their.
The
darkest.
cover work is one of my favorites as well. This one.
Yes.
That purple.
It's like it's kind of weird because like the monster's kind of like very reminiscent of the one in Stranger Things. Yeah, this was like way before.
Maybe
It's got a spider fucking thing there.
Yeah,
Stranger
100%.
Things. Yeah,
maybe he's a Black Dahlia Murder fan, mate.
gotta be.
Maybe the writers were.
Oh,
This
it's
is
uncanny, mate.
Yeah, because I think Majesty had been out by this point, hadn't it? The DVD had been out long by this point, and so like I think it's like Trevor said, everyone was like so involved with that lineup that this was a bit of a shift that when those members left, but it's a fucking great record, this, man. I think, and I think it's a real grower as well. This
Yeah.
record.
Yeah, it's got some really fucking cool topics as well. Like Phantom
Yeah,
Liberation is wicked. Like the lyrics on that are so sick, and they're
yeah.
like really disgusting as well. Like they make me feel sick whenever I'm like reading. That's why that's like how good he is at describing that sort of stuff. But then you've got Control, which is about Jeffrey Dahmer, and
Yeah.
it's or Blood Mine. It's just fucking great. And then Raped in Hatred by Vines of Thorn, of course.
Yeah,
Evil Dead. It's just cool.
yeah.
So we're going to put you on the spot, mate. What track have you gone with?
Into the Ever Black.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
such a great, great
Boom.
song.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Well,
might
when
be
you
my
mention it,
favorite.
you just hear it, can't you?
Yeah.
That's what happened, mate. It
Yeah,
instantly
you just
chorus
hear
was in
it.
my head.
Yeah.
It's just amazing, and I
Yeah,
think it's again Brian Knight's solos on
Yeah.
there. It's absolutely incredible, and it's got that sort of like neoclassical kind of vibe, but has a lot of like. Actually, do you know what? I was I was talking shit, wasn't I, about the triplet thing? Because the main verse of that song is just
yeah, it is.
but yeah, it's just I think the chorus is really, really well written as well.
Yes.
Yeah,
And the lyrics are just great. You can just kind of like just like scream it out. It's just a fucking great song. So yeah. It might be one of my favorite Black Dahlia songs ever, I think.
Oh
yeah.
wow.
Have they still playing? No, it wasn't on the last tour. In fact, they didn't have any songs off this album on the last tour. So interesting. What have you gone with, Daz?
Well, I would have taken Seppuku, but it's not technically on the album. It was a bonus track, wasn't it?
It was.
Okay.
Yeah, you can have that, mate.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll
but it's
probably
still a
yeah.
track in it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. Yeah, I'll take Seppuku. But Blood Mine is a real close one for me. You know, fucking love that track. Blood Mine. Chugs, chugs, chugs. Fucking 17 seconds in, there's just like a mad fucking lead work. Oh, it's a great album, this man. Bloody
Yeah.
love this record.
What
What have you
gone
got, Jim?
with, Steph?
I've same as Trist Into the Ever Black.
Oh,
That
okay,
riff, mate. That fucking riff, mate. That start stoppy riff. But then when it does stop, you got the blast beating drums. If that was a fucking salesman knocking at my door, mate, I'd buy whatever they want, mate, because I love that. Those start stoppy riffs, mate, are for me. And when you've got 500 mile per hour drums literally taking over, yep, I'll buy whatever you want, mate. Beautiful. What a track. One of my favourite riffs, man.
So
That needs
good.
to be that needs to be the new sticker on every reissue.
Yes.
Black Ever Black. 500 mile per hour drop.
God, mate, sick, mate.
Death metal salesman. You've mentioned my interest. I've gone with "Raped in Hatred" by Vines of Thorns. I love this song, man. Like it's so again, it's got a chorus that should not be that infectious. Like, and like I said, like it's his ode lyrically to Evil Dead. But I love how he can paint a story as vivid as that just based on one scene. Like,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? He's just focused in on that one scene and written a song about it. Is
Fucking mad, isn't it?
yeah. But again, like they're just the kings of writing choruses in death metal, which is not an easy feat. And Trevor said, interestingly on this one, this was the first time he felt that they'd hit two like dingers successfully in a row. Ritual into Ever Black. So yeah, great record, man. September 2015, then Abysmal comes out. This again, I feel like the band and a lot of fans see this as sort of a bit of a misstep. I like it.
I like it.
This was one I've got this on vinyl actually. It's like I had a little bit of a vinyl collecting period, and then I quickly realised how much it takes over your life and your finances. So I quickly stopped. But I've got this. I really like this record, but I know the band weren't too keen on how it sort of came out. What do you make of it, Trist?
It's probably in my like mid, I would say, because there are some songs which I think are cool. Like Threat Level Number 3, Reface, and That Which Cannot Die, which is already dead, or I can never remember the
I
actual
think that's
title.
the closer, isn't it?
Eternally
I
Dead.
think.
Yeah,
Eternally Dead. There you go.
That's it.
Um,
Yeah.
and I like some of the ideas that they're playing with, and it feels like they're kind of extending some of the almost like more black metal stuff that was
Yeah,
on
yeah.
Black,
yeah.
um, which is cool, but it's a really weird one. Like the Advent sometimes is I like that song, but then is it Stygophobic? That one where it's like I'm as close to hell as I ever want to be.
Yeah,
That
yeah, yeah.
then it's got that really like doom, 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 it like I don't know. It just feels like it's got more atmosphere. This record a bit, but yeah, it's not really my favorite. I would say for sure. Um, but yeah, I thought the cover was fucking amazing.
Oh,
Carver is
Yeah,
wicked.
that was great.
Carver is
yeah.
wicked.
It's like everyone getting absolutely destroyed.
Yeah.
It was interesting what they were saying about this because they had basically said they'd finished the record and they had a production job, a mix that they really loved, and it was really raw. And they said they sent it into Metal Blade. Brian Slagle said he didn't like it at all, and essentially made them redo it. And they sort of said they compromised, did the best they could, but they were a bit heartbroken with the fact that what they wanted isn't what got put out into the world. And I think Trevor said as well, this was writing this album. He said he really started hitting a wall and getting frustrated around this time. I spent on lyrically writing on this album. So yeah, it's a bit of a difficult one. But what track have you gone with, Trist?
This is probably the one I found hardest to nail down.
Ooh, okay.
I think probably Threat Level number 3.
Yeah, it's a great song.
I really do love that song. It was between that and Refaced. I think that is also a fucking great song. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Threat Level number 3 because I just think it's like it's a fast ripper kind of thing.
Yeah.
And also, one thing I did want to mention is this is sort of the time when I started to get to interview the band and started to get
cool.
to know them and things like that. Trevor especially, and so it's got a bit of a soft spot for me for that reason. And I think I feel like I interviewed Brian on this record. And
wow.
also going very quickly back, Ritual is probably another soft spot for me because it was the first time that I met them as a fan. And I was
sick.
going through like a shit time, and we smoked weed out of an apple together, me and Trevor,
Oh,
and it was
nice.
fucking great. Behind the underworld, it was so funny, man.
Oh mate, I love that you've got those little stories and little memories of this band. Oh, that's so sick, man.
I think that's one of the ways that I kind of remember records is kind of like what I was doing at the time, less
Yeah,
so
yeah.
just the music and stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think I don't know. I'm gonna go with Threat Level number 3. Why not? Let's do that.
Yeah, wicked. What you got, Daz?
Well, Threat Level number 3 and Refaced were on my shortlist, but I've gone with Vlad, Son of the Dragon.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
great track, mate.
Raise the traders higher, higher. Dan, 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 kill them all. Dan, dan, dan.
good.
So good, dude. It's so fucking good, that riff, man. Yeah, I used to listen to this album all the time on the way back from work on the bus, mate.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it used to be quite high for me, actually, this album. Not so much these days, but
I'm glad we don't do album rankings, man. That would
yeah, it's too hard,
kill
mate.
me.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
bad enough doing album of the year list. They change all the time, but we'll be able to do an album ranking.
No, mate, no chance. What are you going with, Def?
The last track, That Cannot Die, Which Eternally Is Dead. Agree with Tris. It was difficult getting a favourite track from this because I feel this is a very 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10 album, and all the tracks are 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10 tracks.
I hear you, mate.
So
yeah.
it's trying to find that one or few moments in a track that is memorable. And I just found that last track just had more moments. It was more standout. And yeah, that's why I went with that. Again, Black Dahlia Murder Theory, in it, last track, or beginning track. You can't go wrong. But
Yeah,
yeah,
mate.
that
Yeah,
just
yeah.
had a bit more of what I wanted from the album than the rest of the
Yeah.
tracks.
I've gone with your that theory, Dev. I picked Refaced as my favourite song.
There we go.
Because there is a moment, that middle section, that the
Yes,
riff,
yeah.
the riff in the middle of that song is, I think, it's one of the best they've ever written. That middle stomping 4/4 section with that fucking riff that is the moment from that elevates out of the record for me, that little moment there, and it sort of makes it really, really stand out, Reface. So yeah, that's how I've gone with that track, man. It's fucking brilliant. 2017 then, October 2017, my favorite number one Black Dahlia Murder album of all time comes out, Nightbringers. This is, so Brandon Ellis comes in on guitar. I love that straight up rocking vibe, trad metal vibe. It's a bit of Euro metal that he brings in on this record, and it's like a bit of a youthful shot of energy that comes into the band when he steps in. And Nightbringers is a 10 out of 10.
Yeah,
Fucking
agree,
Yeah,
mate.
100%.
Agree.
Second album for me, just beyond Nocturnal.
Same. Runner up for me. Yeah.
I'm looking. I think this is a special one for you, Trist, as well. I'm sure we've had this conversation.
Yeah, I love Nightbringers. I think it's a front to back masterpiece. It's basically Bed Nocturnal, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
Yes.
but with their sort of, it's like Nocturnal, but 10 years later kind of thing. I think they just fucking smashed it out of the park with this record. I remember hearing Nightbringers, the single, with that bam 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 bam. It's like, it's just so infectious. And it just makes you want to fucking like move around, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, this album is 100% one of the best that they've ever done, and I would say one of the best death metal records in the last 10 years as well.
I agree, mate. This is one of my favourite death metal albums ever.
Yeah,
This might pip Nocturnal for me on the odd day, you know, because just of the shot, the opening shot at fucking Tim Lambesis with like Widowmaker. So good.
I love how Brandon comes into the band and they just basically just went, "Go on, mate.
Off you go.
We can see how good you are. Go on, fucking give it a little go." And he's just, holy crap,
Killed
what
it.
a record! This was difficult picking a song, but it wasn't at the same time. But what's yours, Trish, first before we get into?
It was really difficult for me.
Oh God, right.
I would say also one thing I've just realised is this band have had 2 years between each of these records.
Yes.
They've been going. How fucking mental is that this level of quality, and they've changed personnel, all this sort of stuff, but it hasn't stopped them from being one of the best death metal bands like ever.
Do you know what, dude? That's such an 80s approach to, when you look at like early Maiden and early Metallica, they were cracking out albums every 2 years. Album tour. And that's what the Black Dahlia Murder did for fucking 10 years. Like, it's mental.
Yeah, that was my attempt at buying myself more time to decide what I'm gonna say. I think it's Widowmaker.
Same as me, mate.
Absolute tune, mate.
I
It's my favourite too.
love that, and you know, like we said earlier on, I that's one of my funniest memories at a gig.
Oh, mate.
I cannot tell
That's
you.
the first time I met you, Tris. Was at that gig, wasn't it?
No
That's the
way.
first time we met, yeah.
Oh,
That was
shit.
the first time we met in the Black Heart. We were
did.
having a drink, didn't we? And then we were at the back and it was packed in the Underworld. When it
Oh,
was
God, it was
rammed.
Ramo.
And
Yeah.
me and Jim made the mistake of going down on the floor for Ingested, which was a big mistake because we couldn't move. We were stuck then, weren't we?
Yeah, we're like, fuck this. We're going to go and stand back.
And then we went to the back, and then you come, you plunked your bag down. You were like, I can't wait for this. Because it was the first time I was seeing them. And Trist was like, you're going to love them. They're brilliant. And Widowmaker starts. Just like the melodic, and then that was it. Trist was like, can you look after my bag? And you were gone, mate. Fucking Linford Christie, mate.
I got Speedy
Rubbed out.
Gonzalez, mate. There were flames
Mate.
coming out of his trainers as he headed towards that mosh pit. And then
Me and Jim were laughing, mate,
We
the
just
whole
spent-
gig, mate.
we just spent an hour watching, like, Trist crowd surfing over the top. It was the best.
Every track.
Yeah,
So
it was.
good, mate.
It was honestly, that was one of the most fun gigs I've ever been to, and it's that sort of. I guess that's sort of part of the reason why I love this record so much is because it was so funny. Like, I just remember being adamant to you two. I was like, nah, I used to stage dive and stuff like that. I'm not going to do it anymore. And then it was just like, I think it was like the house music was on, and then all the lights went off. It just went,
Yeah,
That
That's
sub
it.
drop came in, didn't
Yeah,
it? And
yeah,
it was
you-
like, oh my god!
it took over you, mate. Oh, I'll never forget that, Trist, man. I'll never forget it, mate.
yeah, it was mental, man. And like afterwards, I went and like said hi to Trevor because we did an interview before the show, and he was like talking about like Nightbringers and like the different songs and all that sort of stuff. Like I can never remember what song it is. I think it's Catacomb Hecatomb, where it's like spiders that come out of someone's like stomach or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
I remember I was in the dressing room and he came out in nothing but a towel and he was like, Tris, man, I fucking saw you stage diving and all this sort of shit. And I was just like, yeah, man, it's fucking awesome. And, and then a couple of other people, I think, walked in because the dressing room in the underworld is like very, very small. I don't know if you guys have ever been like in the dressing room,
No.
but it's basically like a glorified cupboard. And he was just like, this guy right here, he's a fucking guy in the UK, man. Yeah, that was the last time I saw him. And it was probably the best sort of way I could have, had a final memory of
Yeah.
him, in like
Yeah.
properly in person and stuff, like just absolutely fucking smashing it. It was
Oh,
such
they were incredible that
They
night,
were,
man.
mate. They were.
they were
But Widowmaker, I think, is the perfect album opener. I think it's actually a nigh on perfect metal song.
Yeah.
Like that. Dun, 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 dun. Like
It's iconic, isn't it?
the first line as well. You're locked in my sight. It's just it's one of the best songs, metal songs ever written. Full
Yeah.
stop for me. This Widowmaker's a fucking. You got that nod to his favorite band Megadeth in the chorus. Like the
Yeah.
killing is my business and my
Yeah.
business I excel. Like they call me the Widowmaker as the last line is hard as
Yeah.
fuck. Like
True.
I think this is a perfect song, Widowmaker.
It's amazing. It's that band.
Oh my god, mate. It's
But I don't know. It's the perfect opener to one of the best albums. You got like fucking is it Matriarch that's next as well?
yeah.
Just like how have we gone from that into this? It's like you don't even pause for like a second. It's just like
Jars was really close for me as well.
jars.
Their heads in jars there with their gang vocals is
That's
so
my pick.
good. Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Oh,
Jaws
what
is my
segue.
pick. Yeah. Yeah.
Guess what? It's my pick as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kings of the
Oh,
Underworld's
yes, lad.
close though as well.
Hair-
Unbelievable.
Kings of the Night World. His
Kings- I said
vocal
Kings of the Night
delivery,
World.
his
Sorry.
vocal delivery in that was so fucking. I love how he sings that track.
Yeah,
it's it's incredible. But Jars is just heavy, man. It's
Oh my god.
and like Jim
Jars.
said, those gang chants, mate.
Yeah. That's it, mate. Gets my
Mate,
fucking
it's-
bird hard, that does.
Jars is.
As a
fucking-
hardcore fan, big hardcore
Yeah.
fan does that. Is
As
the
a
gang
big
vocals
hardcore
doing
fan, that is.
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
is. It is, mate. It absolutely is. It doesn't get better for me, mate. And when I heard the gang vocals, I was just like, what the fuck,
Yeah,
man?
yeah.
So cool.
Ah.
Oh, shit.
Jars.
Yeah.
I think
we're all listening to this album tomorrow, aren't we?
Yeah, we
Oh,
fucking
God,
know. You
yes,
know it.
mate.
You know it.
Yeah.
do you know what? It's funny, like because before we did this, I was doing like revision, which is like 200 songs of the Black Dahlia Murder, and each time Nightbringers would come on, I'd be like, oh no, I don't need to listen to it because like I know it front to back. I want to try and get into the songs I don't know, but I'd just be like, just one more,
Yeah.
one
Yeah,
more.
mate.
And I'm like, oh, I haven't listened to fucking anything else. Just listen to Nightbringers.
Oh, what a record! What
good.
a record, man! Trevor did say actually the artwork too, going back to the same artist as Nocturnal as a nod to the 10-year anniversary. And the artwork is meant to take place in the same world as Nocturnal,
Oh wow.
Oh, beautiful.
so you can almost imagine that is behind the castle,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and like,
Well, it's Nightbringers as well, isn't it? So like night, nocturnal,
Yeah.
all the same sort of thing. It's
Brilliant.
fucking
awesome record. So then the biggest gap we get between two Black Dahlia Murder albums. April 2020, Verminous comes out, released at such an unfortunate time. Like, it just the worst timing to release a record. This was a real grower record for me. This, I think, it's maybe the least immediate to hit for me. I really like it now. Like it's fucking mean and like dirty record this, but it took me a little while to get into
Yeah,
this
same
record.
same as that.
I think because
struggled.
Nightbringers was so immediate,
Instant.
it grabbed you instantly. You had to have a good few listens to really understand the tracks and the direction that they were going on from Nightbringers.
Do you like it now, Daz?
Yeah, I don't mind it so much. Like, I need to kind of probably give it more time as well. You know, it's not one that I've spent a massive amount of time with. But I do like it more than I did when it came out. I really struggled when this came out. It was weird because it was the first time since hearing Unhallowed that I wasn't instantly in, which was weird.
I know the production was maybe a little bit different for me when I first heard this, like a really gnarly bass tone, and I was like, "Whoa, okay, that's a bit different." I mean, to be fair, the world was in a fucking weird place as well
Yeah, that's
at
true,
this time,
that's
so
true.
maybe it was all just like, it all plays in, doesn't it? Like you said, Trist, like moments in your life can impact how you see a record and stuff. So maybe that's what happened with this one.
Yeah, it's a weird one. I don't know. For me personally, I think it's almost a bit of a Cradle of Filth kind of vibe at certain
Oh, I hear you, man.
Yeah.
in this album. It's definitely the most black metal record I think they've done,
Yeah, 100%.
and a lot more sort of atmosphere. You know, just like hearing that sort of dripping sound of like the sewer rat type thing. And
Yeah.
is it what's the rat song? I can't remember.
So I think that was the one they released as a single. I think. Let me pull it up. It's right there.
I think it's the last song.
Dawn of Rats is the
That's
closer.
it. There you go. Yeah. I was a third of the way there.
Yeah.
It's it's just quite atmospheric, that sort of that track. But then I don't know, it's a weird one for me as well because it wasn't as immediate, but it's definitely a grower. Now I think
yeah.
there's some really cool, I think they were trying new things as well with this record.
Felt like that.
Yeah.
Sure. Did feel like that.
But I think, you know, the problem is they were coming off the back of Nightbringers. And,
Yeah.
it's similar. I think it's probably similar to how they felt with, you know, Nocturnal and Deflorate.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah. Because Brandon Ellis had taken over producing records at this point, hadn't he? He produced Nightbringers as well, I think. So
With the help of Mark Lewis and stuff.
yeah, so he sort of I think he recorded the guitars and vocals, and then drums were done by Mark Lewis and stuff. So he was very much involved. I mean, that's mad, isn't it? To come in as a real young guitarist into an established band and just like, right, lads, step back. I'll take the reins from here. Don't you worry. What track have you gone with, Trist?
I think I'm gonna go with Sunless Empire.
Oh, what a tune.
Same. I've done that as well. That's my pick. Sunless Empire.
It's again kind of like that more atmospheric kind of vibe. You know, the sort of the cradly thing I was mentioning, which kind of, you know, really it makes sense because, you know, they've been fans of like Castlevania and all that sort of stuff, like that sort of fantasy kind of aspect. Totally works, and it's got a really, really, really brilliant solo in it. So
Yeah,
that's the
It
main.
reminds me a bit of Killswitch Engage, this song, because there's quite a few pinch harmonics and stuff in here.
Yeah, totally.
It's pretty
and
cool.
he was there behind the behind the decks.
I was interested. I went back and read quite a few reviews of this record, and it really did get some fucking really high markings. And then there was a couple where like, oh, this isn't as good as. So it was again quite a bit like Death Ray, quite a divisive record. What did you think, Def? What track have you gone with?
I've gone with Godlessly.
Good song.
Nice.
Yeah, I think it's got the standout moments that I want in the album, and like I like that sort of cradly of filth, sort of blackened atmosphere, and I think that track in particular has real good moments on it. It's very commanding.
Trevor's voice hits real high in that chorus as well. Like, I don't know how he gets up.
Yeah, I don't know,
like,
mate. Yeah, sick. Yeah, great track, man. Great track.
I've gone with the Werewolf's Feast.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
That was
That was
runner
on my
up.
runners-up
That
list.
was runner up for me.
It's got such a classic heavy metal feel
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
to
yeah,
it.
yeah.
It's got like that Brandon Ellis Queensryche inspired like feel to it. Do you know what I mean? It's just so I love that he brought that in. Like it's so cool. And Trevor again, he utilizes like a kind of a different vocal tone in the verses to this
yeah.
track.
Yeah, yeah.
It's really kind of like not something he'd done before. And there's a real like there's a bit that comes out of the solo. There's this like discordant harmonic part that doesn't. It only happens for about 10-15 seconds, but it's totally different to the rest of the track. And then it goes back into the stomping like heavy metal feel. It's such a cool little moment that I think really, like we said, just those little standout bits. But yeah, definitely an album that has grown over the last few years. I think a great cover of Megadeth's "Go to Hell" as well on the
Yes.
digipack version. So that brings us then to last year, September 2024, an album that we probably never thought we would get. So, Servitude comes out. Brian takes over lead vocals. Ryan Knight is back on guitar. And like we said when we did the roundup show on this, the fact this album exists at all is a testament to what a great band, and the fact it's just fucking great as it is. Again, just
Yeah. Yeah. I think we were sort of quite surprised because of the way Verminous was. This had the opposite effect. I think it was instant.
this.
Yeah.
I think this is a real throwback to like
Oh God, yeah.
earlier Nocturnal style, like really aggressive.
And my pick has reflected that, and I think
What have you gone with then, Def? Go on, you kick us off this time.
Panic Hysteric. I've gone with. It
Good
sounds
man.
pro, but as soon as I heard that, it was like fucking hell. Have I got Death for Eight on or something like that? It sounds like early Black Dahlia. It's got all the rhythm section of it. It's a proper throwback. It's great to hear. It's refreshing. It's more moderny than 10, 12 years ago. Yeah, it's just a great track. Brian does such, and we said it, before. He does such a great job on this album. A difficult
God, yeah.
time for the band, but
Yeah,
man, he crushes it, man. The whole fucking band do.
absolutely. Was this a difficult one for you, Trish, when this came out? Like, obviously, going into because I know you said you didn't listen to Black Dahlia Murder for quite a while, did you?
I didn't really listen to them for about 3 years, to be honest.
Yeah, wow. So what did you make of this album then when it dropped?
It was weird. I didn't listen to it for a long time. I had it like Mr. Turner sent it over, and
Andy.
Good old Andy.
shout out Andy. Yeah, and I don't know. I think sometimes with certain albums, I have to be in the right state of mind because you don't want that first impression to be sort of like tarnished by like being on the tube and some dickhead like walks in front of you or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but this one was a real. It was really interesting because I was kind of like, what's it going to sound like, and what's it going to like? Will it feel right? And I think it was the Decibel. I think it was the Decibel feature that came out. And it was kind of like, this is how we're going to carry on, with Brian on vocals and Ryan Knight back. And I was just like, that's perfect.
I'm so glad that article dropped when it did. It felt like it's such a perfect moment for that interview to come out.
Yeah, it was kind of like, the only way they could have carried on, I think.
Yeah.
And I think the only way that like made sense and also wouldn't I feel like none of the fans would have been like, oh, this is like weird or whatever. It's just kind of like, no, that totally makes sense. And
it was unanimous, wasn't it, across the board? Like, yep, that's it, that's the fucking way you go.
Yeah. And it's it's I think it's testament as well to how great Brian is as a songwriter. Do you know what I mean?
He's incredible, mate. He's just an incredible musician. Like, all round.
Exactly. Like, he's able to just be like, okay, cool. no worries on guitar. I'll sing it. Like, and I think, he sounds like similar to Trevor, but he's
Yeah,
not aping him, no pun
Yes.
intended.
I love the way he's lovingly kept that feeling
similarity in he as
of
well.
what, yeah, it's a real loving homage to what the band have done up until that point.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's really, like you said, that's something that we maybe would have never even had. So
Yeah.
Very close to it.
yeah,
We're very close to not having it. I think they said that if what's his name, Shannon didn't join back,
Oh,
they
right.
would have just left. Or Ryan, yeah, they would
Yeah.
have just been like, "Nah, fuck it." Then they wanted everybody in the band that had been in it before previously, didn't they? Otherwise,
Yeah.
they weren't going to go forward. So
I can't wait to see them at Bloodstock now.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
mate, I can't
so
wait.
excited to see them. What track have you got off this, Trist?
Utopia Black.
Yay! Same as
Great
that, mate.
track. Great ending.
Yeah.
It's a Brian song, that, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think he wrote it.
But yeah, no, I mean, it's again really, really difficult on this record. I think I had Panic Hysteric in there as well. I thought that was really cool. But like, there's songs like Aftermath, which I really, really like the subject matter of that song, but the
Yeah.
song not as much as like Utopia Black. And it's just cool, isn't it? It's just like,
It's just
yeah.
fucking such a. You've got it in your head now, haven't you?
Yeah.
They were playing this first to last song on their last tour, so it's already got a real important spot on the set list. And I
oh,
think,
no way.
yeah, I think it's going to be a bit of a staple. This,
pretty interesting.
yeah, this was the first song that went into my head. This was an easy one for me. Like,
Hmm.
I've loved that song. The minute I heard it, I was like, yeah, that's the one. That
I
is
mean,
the one.
I went with Aftermath because it was that was the first single they released.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
And I
was.
was just like absolutely blown away. And
Yeah.
the numbers on the streaming, like Spotify, it's done like double all the others.
Oh,
Easy.
okay. So it's like the.
Yeah.
I don't know if they. Yeah, they must have played it on the set list.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a record I revisit this quite a lot, and it's not
Yeah,
like
it's wicked.
after the dust settled a bit. It's not like a okay. I really liked it at the time because didn't they do well to come back, and it's actually a really fucking just great record.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah, regardless of like what the context behind it is
Yeah.
just a great record.
Yeah, yeah.
Utopia Black as well, another closer. Like there's been a lot of album closers and a lot of album openers on this.
Yeah, it's great, mate. Yeah, Aftermath was tracks. They played that halfway through the set. 5 tracks from Servitude on the last
Oh wow.
tour. So they're pushing into a new era. With strong material, which is
Yeah,
I don't think it'd be too long before we get a follow up either. Like
fingers crossed.
2026, maybe.
Yeah, it's gotta be.
back to that 2 years, mate.
Yeah, the 2 years on, 2 years off. But then I don't know, because maybe it might be that I mean, I feel like they probably will continue, but if they did bow out and just did this one and then that was it, like that would be a fitting end, I think, to
Absolutely.
legacy for sure.
I think the band means too much to them. I think we'll get another 10 albums, mate. Like, do you know what I mean? I think they're here to stay, man.
I think so. Yeah, I think you're right, and I'm glad. I'm glad.
Yeah.
that it's
So am I, mate.
No?
We'll do a part 2 in 10 years' time, Trist. From Servitude onwards. We'll do a part 2, mate.
Yeah, man. I can't wait to see them in the summer now at Bloodstock. It's going to be
It's gonna be a good old time, mate.
It's gonna
that
be great,
is.
mate. It's gonna be great.
fucking killer. So there we go. The Black Dahlia Murder. It's called fucking death metal. Check it out. Like, let us know your favourite tracks from each of these records. Twitter at Bangers P, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all that. Search us up, Bangers and Mosh Podcast. You'll find us there. Tris will drop the link to your YouTube channel in the episode description as well. Go and check out Tris' channel if you haven't. He's YouTube metal royalty, quite frankly. Like one of the best out there.
You are my king.
I would. I just talk bollocks from my spare room. To be fair, that's all it is. And I love the fact that you guys have set this up. It's anyone can do this. You just chat.
Yes.
And it's the passion about it that I think is the biggest thing, isn't it? And like
That's it,
honestly,
mate.
every episode I listen to of you guys, it's always like, fucking hell, this is the best thing I've ever heard. I'm like, what's this one? Oh, it's like like anal secretion. Okay, cool. wicked. I'll check them out. I'll put them on
It
my
always
list.
makes me laugh, so you're like, I haven't heard half of these records you're talking about. And I'm like, yeah, that's good, man. Like
Yeah.
when your album of the year list came out, I was like, I haven't heard half of these albums, Trist. So it's great. We're all learning, aren't we? We're all
Exactly, man. Yeah.
That's
It's
it.
an ecosystem at the end of the day, isn't it?
we're all sharing the music, man. It's been a pleasure as always, mate. Thanks for taking some time this evening to have a little chat. It's been fucking brilliant.
It's always fun. I love seeing you guys. And next time, let's all get a pint and stuff, yeah?
Absolutely, mate.
absolutely.
Absolutely,
Absolutely, mate.
Yep.
Brothers.
We'll be back soon. Until then, party on, dudes.